Good evening, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back with you once again. Bench is a bit messy, doing a whole bunch of stuff for the saw. I'll call this my derusting station. Oil, evaporust, some miscellaneous stuff. Getting ready to cut some holes in the top of the table, which waiting on a product from our friends at the rainforest. They seem to only deliver like when it's dark. But if it's early enough, I'll show you what I'm doing there. But this quickie is about this type of device. This is the right side fence rail, the bottom, and you can see some of the teeth imprints. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. But in any case, the main rail has teeth down at the bottom, grooves. And I showed a previous video of that where it's kind of challenging to clean that. But in any case, I bead blasted both of these, the long main one and then this right side. And then I did a once over with steel wool to give it just a polished, you know, somewhat finished look as opposed to just the unfinished bead blast. In any case, came out nice. Well, online, and I showed you I picked up the second extension, the second wing, the second fence extension table, and I needed another one of these. So I looked online and I found there was a guy selling, assuming a guy, person, seller, these two sides, but they were the ones that actually have grooves in them, just like the main table. And I've seen a video or two on them online, and apparently they don't really line up with the tables correctly. So and the guy wanted like $120 plus shipping. So I was like, no. But I needed a second one of these for the new table extension, the new old table extension. So I found somebody who had one of these. It was the exact product number, so I knew exactly what I was getting. And the reason I'm making it is because this is what showed up. So it is aluminum. I mean, you can tell. But look at the difference. And it's got some damage. But look at the difference. This is going to require a little bit of work to get. Rusty as all shit. At least it had the washers. The lock washers. This one didn't. Rusty as all shit. Looks like the original bolts too. I'm sure when I clean those, these will look like these. But yeah, just a quickie to show, OMG, this is like 50, 70 years worth of gunk on aluminum plus some damage. I don't know if I'll be able to soften that. Might not even try, just clean it up. And it's the character, kind of like, you know, this has character. Some oopsies. So, but yeah, I thought that was kind of funny that, oh wow, what a difference. So this is a before and this is an after. So hopefully we'll make this one look like an after too. More to come. And here we have the top of the table, top shelf of the saw. So we have board cut to size, trimmed and edged. Sun's a little bright. And we have the 4 holes for mounting the saw, and we have 2 holes for mounting this to the cross plate of the stand. And then we have this, which will mount right there. And that, who knows if that'll work or not, but that's going to be my dust collection, so that will attach to the vacuum. So this is the saw line, and this is towards the I want to say middle or front, in order to catch the saw as the blade, excuse me, the sawdust as the blade travels. So we'll see if my theory's right, but I thought I'd give it a try, because otherwise dust is just going to collect here, but better here than all over the other place, because the cabinet is 3/4 enclosed. We have just the back, this is the back end open, this is the back. So we'll see what happens, but now I'm going to finish this with some coats of poly and seal the cracks, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done. There is the table. Finished, dressed, 3 coats. I'm debating whether I do a 4th just because it is the top. Everything came out really nice. Hole worked out good. My 2.5-inch hole. Hopefully all the other parts from the rainforest will show up. Alright, so if I do put another coat on, it'll look the same, maybe with a little bit more sheen, but otherwise, top's just about done. Stand is complete. So this is the front. Top is bolted on, double washered for the holes. These are the saw holes to mount the saw. Obviously my attempt at dust collection, which kind of looks like that, and will attach to my small Craftsman. That's either, I think that's a 1.5-inch diameter. But yeah, it is. We are ready. Saw's been installed, or let me rephrase that. Saw's been put together. Just needs to be installed. I like how the top came out. Looks clean. And none of the goober areas remained. Good stuff. All right, next will be finished-ish. All right, you saw this the other day. This the before. I was waiting on this wrench. This is a 1 1/16 for the arbor, and it's yucky. Time to get unyucky. All right, Redzilla makes quick work of ugly metal. And I'll hit this with some steel wool. Probably sand this. This is aluminum. This is steel. I will sand this down, put a nice grain on it, and then glue it. All right, this came out goodly. Blued, oiled, nice grain. And this is now clean. 50 years of gunk has been eliminated. I decided to leave that as is, character. But looks like better than it did a couple days ago. And this came out great. Good day, YouTubers. We're going to call the saw complete in terms of both reconditioning and restoration. These are all the original pieces that came with it. Some of them enhanced a little bit, as you can see with the power on, and what I've done with the extra wood in terms of the cabinet, as well as some of the decals, and let's see what else, the stand, the mobile stand, and then the feet for the mobile stand, as you've seen in previous videos. So this is what came with it, including the box in the left side there. And what's cool is I found an old manual from 1954 with another pickup, and if you look on page 4, they actually show a box that looks almost exactly like that box, which I think is kind of funny. So 50s mentality. And I did something very similar to this in terms of what I'm doing for dust collection, and I'll show that to you. So this is it in its finality, and I'll show you that wing extension that used to be on that side in the original picture, and what I did for that. I'll put it up top here. The reason it doesn't fit over there is because of the handle and the fact I made a stand for the 2 extensions to keep that in one place, and then this actually sits on top of that, so that's where its home is going to be. All right, so I'll go off camera and walk around in terms of some of the details so you can see a little bit closer. So the power panel is 1/4-inch steel, and I leveraged 2 existing holes on the wing so I didn't have to drill anything. I just had to be creative on how I cut the steel and mounted that so that can move the stand. The chrome polished up beautifully. Paint came out great. I like how the stand worked out. Let me see if I can give you an underside view of things. There's my dust collection. Again, put some oiled wood on here to match that. I will show this operating, and then I will also show it with the other extension that I picked up. Motor came out great, except for that label. There's a guy that makes labels, and I'm debating whether I do a replacement label, if it's worth it. New belt. All right, that is the stand, and I'll show it to you here in a minute with its addition. And here's after. So we have a matching left and right wing extension, very similar to my other 113 table saw from about 1977-ish. Again, this one about 1959, 1960. Picked up one from a little earlier, a 2990, slightly different under the table mounts and look and feel. And we'll turn it on here in a second, and I will give you a closer look at how the table came out. All right, here's a power up. And I'll get you a close-up of the table as we lift the saw. I think the table, all things considered, came out beautiful. I measured this so that it's right before the opening on either side of the blade, and I was able to find the original grip. I'll maybe make that in a later video. I think I'm going to do a comparison of how this particular saw cuts with and without the dust collection active, and then also compare it to my other table saw, but that's probably going to be another video. And keeping the flash rust from building up is going to be a challenge. There's a coating that I'm looking at that I'll see if that works for me. But let me get this out of the way. And that's the original blade that I was going to throw away. And that is one, after reconditioning it, one incredibly sharp blade. So that blade was in great condition. I wish I could say the same about some of the other blades and saws I've picked up. And some forgotten loose ends. You saw this wrench that got restored, this 1 1/16 wrench, and there was somebody giving away one of these saws that was in really beat up condition, and I grabbed it and it had this particular wrench. So this is the full size. So we got a full size and a half size, and I found a guy on the Garage Journal who had done a complete catalog archive of all things Craftsman from 1927 through 2013. And this is the 2 DVD set, and he also sells it on a USB drive. David Maher, hopefully I'm saying that name correctly. And what an amazing amount of information. And that's where I was able to identify this particular saw when it was made. This version, the 29991 version. And this handle that goes on top of here is what I've also located. That should be here maybe next week. The stand, this stand, and then the stand that I have it on is in this catalog. And the stand I think was like $18 or $19. The saw was $112 without the motor. With the motor, I think it was like $140, $154. But when I ran the numbers of the wing was like $11. 11 side table extension $13.50. The molding insert was $1.98. So this dado molding insert or this one was $1.98, and I blued these to keep them from rusting, kind of what I did here. But the saw in its current configuration as I picked it up totaled, I think, just under $300. So I think it was like $294, something in that range, with the stand, the accessories, everything that you see here, using 1960 prices. $290 adjusted for inflation in 2023 is over $2,000. So this was an expensive component back in the day. And this version, again, here's a better close-up of that particular handle. I think this is the 59 catalog. This might be a little bit older. I have to double check because it looks like the price went up $112 to $115. But it's just amazing when you look at, and this particular version had the extension that with the 2 bars that mine actually came with. So I think this was actually the version from 1960. I think this was a little bit earlier. And I've also located this particular blade guard cover, albeit they're really beat up and they're really, really expensive. And I don't think I'm going to pursue it because they really don't protect the blade, or really they don't cover the blade like a standard blade guard does, just because of the design. And my 1977 113 table saw, its blade guard does work perfectly on this particular saw. So I think I will potentially swap that out if I put that saw into storage, or plan to get rid of it. But my son said, why don't you get this pedestal? And there's just not enough utility in this for me in terms of storage and such. So I like the square bench, and I thought it was cool because I got all this information off of the history of Craftsman tools by looking through the different catalogs to see when this particular saw was introduced, and the options that it had in terms of that extension, and the base that I have, the square base that I have, that was only like $18 or $19 back in 1960. So I thought that was kind of cool. But that's a wrap with all the goodies. These came out beautiful in terms of the bluing, and hopefully they'll last a nice long time without rusting. That is the end of this saw. On to the next.